Thank you so much for being here. I just wanted to give y'all just a quick word before Keith hops in and really does what he does best. As you know, at Ontraport, we don't really promote too many other systems. There's a few reasons for that. One, we generally only like to recommend systems that we use, that we've tested, that we know will make a big difference. And of course, the last criteria, we need to make sure that it works well with Ontraport. So one of the reasons that we wanted to do this with Keith, I mean, one, he just really knows his stuff, but two, his system has actually made a huge difference in our business. So many of y'all may not know this, but we're starting a verticalization strategy, right? And so we're getting really specific with the people that we're marketing to. And what that means is that now we have a ton of different funnels, but even more than that, our customer journey is pretty long. And so it's not enough for us to just track our ads, right after the first click, because someone may convert 6 months later and that first click matters, but that journey along the way is also very important. And so using SegMetrics has actually made a huge difference in our ability to track at what we're actually getting from our paid ads, and even tracking the impact individual salespeople are having throughout the process. So, we believe in SegMetrics. We're very thankful to Keith and team for making such a great platform for us to use. And today, ideally, he's going to share a little bit about how you can really slice and dice your data, whether you use SegMetrics or not, whether you use Ontraport or not. And then I'm sure he'll probably go into some tips and tricks that are specific to his platform as well. So I'll be here right alongside you taking notes. And I hope y'all enjoy. Keith, again, thanks so much for doing this. I'll let you take.
Yeah, that was the best intro, and that it really means a lot to me. Like I've worked with the whole Ontraport team. I've been using Ontraport since it was called Office Autopilot, which we were talking about on our last call together. And it's like we internally we still call it OAP, but it's just such a pleasure to be working with you all and to hear that we are providing value, because at the end of the day, that's what we want to do. So thanks so much. All right, so I guess I'll take it away. And a couple of things, housekeeping, just general stuff. This is about a 40-minute presentation, give or take. I will be doing Q&A at the end, so please put your questions in the chat. I think there is a question button. I think you can mark them as a question. Please do that, and I'll take that. I'll also be glancing at it as we go through the slides. If you have any questions, please put them in there. The presentation itself is not a sales pitch. I am not a salesperson. I am the founder of SegMetrics. I do not like sales pitches on my webinars. It also, as Brendan was kind of saying, is not Ontraport specific. It's not SegMetrics specific, although we will be going into how I use that to get some of these, some of this data and to do all this stuff. But I really want you to walk away with ideas about how to use verticals, sales verticals, customer avatars, and how to really understand your customer base and how to make good marketing decisions based on those. Because I think a lot of the tools that we do use don't give us that level of data and information, especially as we're looking at longer funnels. Anything with a nurture sequence, it seems like everything's just, oh, we're going to get the top level ads, and then who knows what they actually did further down that funnel, unless you can convert them in a day. So we'll be going into a lot of that, and we'll take it from there. Another piece of housekeeping note, I have a large monitor. My camera's here, the screen's here. I have a bigger screen over there, so I'm going to be going in various directions. So let's kick this thing off. All right, so I'm going to share screen, share a Chrome tab. There we go. All right. Sharing this tab. Everyone should be good. That looks like it's too small. I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. All right, and let's dive on in. So we are talking about optimizing marketing with customer verticals. Real quick about me. My name's Keith Perhac. I am the founder of SegMetrics. Been doing that for about 9 years. Before that, I ran a conversion rate optimization agency, a CRO agency called Develop Your Marketing. And SegMetrics really came out of that. So the whole thing that we did is we worked with a number of mainly info products, some SaaS companies, I Will Teach You to Be Rich, Quick Learning, Nomadic Matt, Eben Pagan, Dr. Axe, all these people. And the whole goal was we told our clients, if you get traffic to your site, we will turn that traffic into leads, and we'll turn those leads into customers. And we really focused on nurture sequences, long form nurture sequences, because as you know, with info products, people are not dropping on a page cold and then buying a $500 to $1,000 product right away. So it's all about, how do we understand the audience? How do we understand these verticals? How do we understand the psychology of what turns people into customers? One of the problems that we ran into was, as we were growing and as we were doing all this optimization, we had to pull in more and more data and make more and more decisions about that data. So we would take all of our exports out of Ontraport, out of Stripe, out of SegMetrics at the time is what we were using, because they had a raw data export. We'd put them all into Excel docs. We'd do pivot tables. We'd have these million line things. It'd take us hours and hours to answer any one question, such as, well, how do agencies convert to this product as compared to e-com? So we pull together 5 hours, pull together all this data, put it in a PDF, take it to our client. Client says, this is amazing. This is groundbreaking. And because we worked with really smart clients, they'd always ask smart questions. And they'd be like, well, I understand that our Facebook leads are coming in at 5:45 and they're converting over 90 days, blah, blah, blah. But what about a subsegment? What about the 20-year-olds to 30-year-olds versus like the 30-year-olds to 50-year-olds? And we're like, that's a great question. Give us 5 hours and we'll get that answer. And it turned into, we were doing more time on the data pulling and the analysis than we were on actually doing marketing. And that was a huge blocker for us. So we thought to ourselves, this is just data in a database. This is just something that we can import from Ontraport's APIs and from the data APIs and from Facebook APIs, and we can connect all this data ourselves. And then SegMetrics was born, and we started using that, and clients started saying, oh, this is great. Can I get a login? I was like, oh, yes. And so we built a login. It's like, oh, this is great. Can I share it with my friends? It's like, okay, now we got credit card. Like, it just kind of grew organically from that until it became bigger than the agency, and we started doing SegMetrics full time. So I know that was kind of long-winded, but I really bring it in to set the stage about why this is important. And it's important because you act on what you can measure. And when it takes you 5 hours to answer a single question about your marketing, you're never going to ask that question more than once. And you're never going to ask follow-up questions because it's so time-consuming. And that's one of the things that is important about when you are trying to optimize your verticals, is understanding that long-term conversion and to be able to ask better questions. So goals of this training. So we have 5 sections we're going to go through. 1, why customer verticals are important. 2, how to identify your most valuable verticals. 3, optimizing landing pages for conversion. That's going to be mainly tips and tricks, things that you can look at. And then applied psychology in nurture campaigns. And then we're going to actually go through a nurture campaign optimization sequence that we did internally at a top level, so you can kind of understand how we apply this stuff, and then Q&A. Honestly, as you may have noticed already, I can talk about this stuff for hours. I'm going to try to condense this as much as I can. I may talk fast. There will be a recording afterwards, and we'll take it from there. All right, so let's start at the beginning. First of all, what are customer verticals and why are they important? So customer verticals, they have a lot of names. You can call them segments, cohorts, verticals, avatars, lots of different things, right? But at the end of the day, what it is a subsegment of your audience that you want to target separately from other people because they respond to your marketing in a different way. So this can be any number of things. It could be age, it can be gender, marital status, values, business types, industry, challenges, anything that someone would search for in Google or would call themselves when they are looking for the solution to a product. That can be a vertical for you. And it's very different for each business, right? So when I was working with Ramit, some of our verticals were college graduates. Other ones were stay-at-home moms or dads. The other ones were beginning professionals, mid-level professionals. There were all these different verticals that we had that had different buying power. They had different needs. They had different objections. And the reason that we want to build out all these verticals is that we know that all of our customers are not created equal. And so we want to find and communicate with these verticals and with these customer groups in the best way possible so that they understand the value that we're bringing, right? And so that we understand the value that they can bring to the company. For example, if we go, and this is actually a true story, if you go after frugal markets, it is very difficult to then monetize at higher levels, right? If you are going after money savings and frugality and you have a $20 book, you could get a lot of pushback on that $20 book about the frugality in the frugality market. People who are frugal do not want to pay $20 in order to learn how to be more frugal. It's crazy mindset in my mind, but it very quickly identifies this vertical works for this type of product, this vertical works for this type of product, and we can separate those out, all right? And it really comes back to something that is key to marketing that we've all known forever, which is the right product, the right person at the right time. And when we have this targeted marketing and we have this vertical and we have a landing page dedicated to that vertical or a microsite dedicated to that vertical, we've increased trust, right? And it's all about getting that right message to the right audience. When you go to a page that is talking to you and your vertical, it's talking to agencies, it's talking to e-com providers, it's talking to drop shippers, it's talking to people in the spiritual niche, it implies an understanding of their pain point, right? And we'll go to some, let's do a quick example real quick. I mean, something as simple as, I'm trying to remember one of them, but there's a product out there, a scheduling product that specifically goes towards wellness and health professionals. And it's interesting because everyone I know in the SaaS space uses maybe Calendly, maybe SavvyCal, something like that. People in the spiritual space all use that. They're almost identically the same product, but their branding, their understanding, and some of the smaller features that are core to the spiritual health coaching community are part of that product, whereas they are maybe secondary features or just not pushed as hard in something like Calendly. And so this, and everyone in the health space uses them because that is a product that they all talk about internally, that, oh, I use this, you should use this. They understand our pain point. They understand the product. And that's how you get traction with some of these. So let's talk about Ontraport verticals and landing pages, because this is really, I was talking to Brandon as we were kind of setting this up, and we were talking, well, what can I talk about? Like, there's so much to talk about when we're talking about verticals, when we're going down. And they were showing me the vertical builders and the microsite builders and all this stuff. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, I wish I had these when I was doing the agency. And what they are, if you don't know, it's essentially the ability to take a single template and then plug in data from a database or a drag and drop builder or something like that, and quickly create microsites and landing pages that can be vertical specific. And so you can have your page on e-com, you can have your page on SaaS, you can have your page on agencies. You can have all these pages that focus specifically on different aspects of your customer base. And this gives you a lot of things. First of all, it's going to give you better marketing towards those areas, but it also lets you understand what parts of your marketing are doing better or worse, because you're able to segment. If everyone's coming to your top page, and let's say let's use our top page, for example, we serve SaaS, e-com, info product coaches, agencies, blah, blah, blah. They all come to the top page. They all sign up. We don't have any way of understanding if we're talking to info products better than we're talking to e-com, or if we're talking to agencies better than SaaS. They're all in this just bucket. And then they convert. And then we kind of see, as we ask them questions and we get on calls and stuff, what industry they're in. But if we could understand that before they opt in, we then have kind of a superpower because we're able to see, oh, look at this. Agencies convert at 80%, e-com converts at 5%. We're obviously not talking to e-com the same way that we're talking to agencies. So we need to improve that. And these target verticals, these landing pages and stuff, this really gives you the ability to do that because you are able to quickly, and again, the core is that quickly split out the marketing that you're doing into these different verticals. Remember that as founders, as business owners, as marketers, as anyone, we have a limited amount of time in the day, a limited amount of energy we can put out there. And the ability to stand up 30 different microsites to our different verticals in an hour as compared to having someone build them all in WordPress is just mind-blowingly effective for us. Right? So here's some examples of vertical-based pages that you may have seen before. Location-specific landing pages. This one's from Airbnb. Industry-specific pages. This one's from Ontraport. All right. So anything that is really drills down into the verticals, and these are great for both SEO and conversion. So I've got two up here right now. So the one on the left, I searched for California tax relief. And this is the site that came up. And I chose tax relief because I've worked with a bunch of tax relief clients back in the agency days because their conversion strategies are really interesting. And you can see here on the left, they have Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, California employment development, lots of Californias, Colorado, Delaware, et cetera, right? They just have a microsite and a landing page for each of them with custom information for each of them. So when I search for my state plus tax relief, this is going to come up because it gets all that Google juice. It's getting linked from other places, and it has a specific landing page for my site. And I went through some of these pages. They're not that different. They're all pretty similar. It's really just the specifics of that tax relief that they have in a database because that's what they need for their business, as well as the name and the flag, right? So this is all something that can be optimized and auto-generated through this data. The one on the right is a microsite. So I started searching for starting a dental business, and this is what came up. And this is actually interesting because it's an entire microsite. So the one on the left is landing pages that have been generated, and this one's an entire microsite that's been generated. And the whole thing is just based around dental practice. And they've set this up, and it's actually part of a larger company. And this is their dental practice vertical that they go after. And this is a legal company, and they have all the documents you need to start a business. And these are the ones specifically for dental. And I find this stuff fascinating because it is such a double win to talk about these kind of programmatic content generation, programmatic site generation tools, especially when you are targeting verticals like this. And it's really that these targeted messages increase conversion because, as we were kind of talking about before with the appointment software, people want a solution for me. I want it for me. I don't want a generic one. I don't want generic legal requirements for starting a business. Well, I have a SaaS business. My business is very different than a dental business or is different than an accounting business or something else. I need something for mine. And I need to be able to know that the page and the information is targeted towards me. And there was a friend client that I worked with a number of years ago who was actually doing something very similar to the legal requirements one. He had a bundle of legal requirement docs that you needed to fill out in order to start your business. And they were just standard things like NDAs and here's how you file your taxes and blah, 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 and all this stuff like standard contracts, no conversion whatsoever, right? And then he had the brilliant idea of, well, I'm just going to create a landing page for each type of business that there is. So I'm going to create one for copywriters and one for designers and one for SaaS and one for dental and one for acupuncture, and just go into go and get a list of every single job there is out there and just build a landing page. The docs, the product that he's selling is the exact same in all those use cases. He's just changing the title, some initial boiler copy, and optimizing that page for that vertical. And what happened? Conversions went through the roof because people want things that apply specifically to them. Right? And we kind of go through that and we say, okay, when we're coming in for something, is this for me? And you want your customers and your leads, as soon as they look at that page, as soon as they look at any piece of your marketing, to say, yes, this is for me. Yes, this is for me. Yes, this is for me. And going back to what we were saying, a targeted niche implies that you understand their pain point. My challenges as a SaaS owner are not the same as the challenges of a dentist, but I let that cloud my judgment and think that, oh, I wouldn't learn anything from that. And that's why I want someone who understands my pain point. My CPA focuses on SaaS companies. He understands things about SaaS companies that other CPAs don't. And it's just super important. Anyways, all right. I ranted enough about that. All right, so let's go to step 2, which is really about measuring your success. So now that I've kind of hopefully convinced you that verticals are important, we want to talk about how we measure, and because it is a challenge, right? And the thing that most of us do, I think, because again, this is what the tools give us, is we'll have a microsite, we'll have a landing page, we'll have something that says, oh, these people are freelancers, they are copywriters. What is the opt-in rate, right? And so we'll get stuff like, okay, my auto opt-in rate is at 2.4%, B2B tech is at 0.3, et cetera. So I'm kind of understanding what my opt-in rate is for these pages. And that's easy. Most systems will help you do it. It's pretty straightforward. But the problem is that looking at that first touch, that first step, that first opt-in is kind of misleading, right? Because you're looking at what are people interested in that first page? What are they interested in that initial promise? But it doesn't convert to what we're really looking for, which is that end goal of them becoming a customer, right? So I always gave the example of we were working with some sports companies, and they had a number of sports-related quizzes and sports-related things about exercise and all this stuff, and people were really excited about it. They got a lot of opt-ins. They made 2 sales. And the reason they made 2 sales is because at the end of that funnel, they were trying to sell a recipe book. And in your mind, you think, well, yeah, it's all health and sports and stuff like that. But the people who are looking to improve the type of sports they're doing or the type of exercises they're doing to gain muscle and to do all this stuff, they're not looking for a recipe book. They're looking for new exercises. And there was a disconnect between the vertical, the initial offer, and the end product. So let's look at a quick example. So let's say that we have 4 verticals here. Opt-ins 87%. Cool. 65%, 32%. Ooh. And only 1% buy. All right. So what happened? We're kind of looking, it's important to track the result, not just that initial step, because as you can see, we have great initial pickup. Everyone's coming in, everyone's interested in their vertical, but the conversation that we're having with people, the flow that we're doing, the nurture sequence, the important part of convincing people to buy dries out, right? And that's why it's important to track the result, because you want to know where your best leads come from, not just your most leads, right? So how do we do this? And this is the part where I get excited, because I'm going to share screen, or I'm going to share a different screen, I guess is the best way to say it. I'm going to new lead report. That sounds good. Yeah, so I'm going to kind of dive in here and show you how we do this in SegMetrics. So I just share real quick some SegMetrics stuff. So SegMetrics, as we kind of talked about, is a attribution tracking tool. The idea is that we go beyond that top of funnel. We go beyond that number of opt-ins, and we look at things that happen later down the funnel, and we are able to put a dollar value on those things. So even right here, we can see that average days until purchase, we've got 12. We can see what is the value of each of these tags, each of these custom fields, each of these pieces of our funnel. We can see here, I'm split testing a funnel right here. Funnel A has a lead value of $74, which means anyone who comes onto funnel A is worth $74 as opposed to funnel B, which is $17. So just a quick overview of what we're doing, where we are measuring people as they go down. So why is this all important? All right, so let's dive in. And what we really want to be able to do is to identify different areas of our business and different verticals that are performing well as opposed to those that are not. All right. So we're looking for outliers, right? So let's say over the last 30 days, we've gotten about 2,000 new leads, $46 lead value. Okay. That's pretty good. But I'm sure within that $46, there are areas and verticals that are doing very well and those that aren't. So let's dive in. So let's go look at some of our verticals. So we have any of the information we have here. So industry, job title, where they came from, what they've bought, state, country. Oh, we see country. Yeah, so we can dive in real quick and we can instantly see what our highest lead values are, which countries have the highest lead values, which countries have the highest revenue, and which countries we're getting the most leads from, but maybe not the highest lead value. And we can start to understand, okay, we need to talk to this type of lifestyle or this country, or maybe we need to make a page in Spanish, right? We can start to understand very quickly what is the breakdown of this $46, who is above and beyond and below that, and who brings us towards those better customers. So let's go to one that we actually were looking at, which is our vertical, or in this case, industries. All right. So we can see here the different industries that we are marketing to, and this is all demo data, but this gives you kind of an idea of who we're looking at. We're able to see how many people come in, how many of those turn into customers, conversion rate, revenue, and that end lead value. And this is important because then we can start to look at, okay, market research, e-learning, apparel and fashion. These are places that the average lead value is above our average of that 46. These are the industries that do very well for our business. And we can start to understand who are the people that turn into customers at the long term, not just opt in and maybe convert, right? And that's kind of the benefit because, previously what you would need to do is you would need to tag everyone who comes in from the fashion apparel landing page, if you have one. And then you would need to track them through each step of that funnel. And then at the end, you would need to pull out all of the orders that they made over time in that 30, 60, 90 days to understand, okay, what is the value of this vertical of apparel or fashion over time? And what this lets you do is just instantly ask that question. It's like, okay, of all of our industries, who's doing the best? What can we see that is the most valuable here and what's not? So let me show one more example, and then we'll go into some of the CRO stuff because I do want to be conscious of everyone's time. This is one of the things that I always look at because I think nothing sums this up better to me than this example where I was working with my ad agency and they were like, hey, we're bringing in leads at $47. And I was like, holy crap. This is great. $47 for a trial. Like that would be amazing. And then I looked at the number here and I was like, wait. We don't have 3,000 new trials this month. That's kind of crazy. So what's going on? And so we came in here and we said, okay, I only want to see people who, I'm going to use a different tag, but who signed up for a trial. I was like, oh, that's right. We had 135 for $1,000 a trial. So this is a very different conversation because it let us know two things. First of all, we had something like 1,800 leads, I think, 1,100 leads that were never getting on a trial. They started in that nurture sequence and they just dropped off. We could not convert them into a trial. And the second thing is we're paying $1,100 per trial, which is not where we want to be as a business, right? Because after the trial, you have conversion rate. And the reason that the ad agency was focusing on this and they were kind of looking at this was because Facebook and Google and all these tools, they're measuring the top of the funnel. They're able to see how many people clicked on an ad and then how many people filled out the form, right? Because those are all web events. But the problem is because we have a nurture sequence. We have a 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 week nurture sequence based on how long it takes people to warm them up and get them ready for the trial. And the systems couldn't track that. So when we're looking at this data and we're looking at something that happens through a nurture campaign, all of these systems can't track it. And that's why we need to be, but that's what matters to us. We don't care that we got an opt-in. We care that we get a trial. And that's why we need to be able to optimize for things that happen later in the funnel. All right. I'm going to jump back. So I wanted to just kind of show how we're kind of breaking that down, how we're pulling that all together. Real quick, any questions, anything up into this point? Looks like no. All right. I'm going to keep on going then. So I'm going to start with some of the kind of the conversion rate optimization. Is this part of Ontraport? So that was part of SegMetrics, which does connect directly to Ontraport. So what happens is that you would be marketing through your landing pages, through your verticals that you build in Ontraport, comes into Ontraport, and then we have a native connection with Ontraport that then does all the tracking through there for things that happen further down the funnel. And then we pull in the revenue from Ontraport, we pull in the subscriptions, we pull in what clicks they did and what ads they did. And Katie, exactly, we would tie into the ads that brought them in. So we could see, and I didn't scroll down, but I'll show it next time I share that screen. You can actually see which ads, which campaigns brought people in and how much it's costing at that ad level, and then be able to optimize at that point. So very interesting. I think this is one of the things that I get excited about, and I get kind of bubbly, I think, when I think about it, which is that the power of conversion rate optimization and SegMetrics in general is that you can ask these questions that just go really deep. You can say, show me everyone who came in, who is a copywriter, and then show me every ad that they clicked and how many of them came in from ads versus organic, and how many of them came in from Facebook versus Google versus this ad versus retargeting versus whatever. And I can go so deep, and I can just keep building one on top of the other and filtering down until I find that exact perfect customer. And then I'm like, that is the perfect customer. How do we get more of those? How do we understand what people want from our business? All right. So again, I do want to be conscious of time. So I'm going to start with some of the conversion rate optimization stuff that we had that I want to talk about. When we're talking about optimizing a landing page, there are a couple of rules. There are a couple of things that we want to do. So the first one is that, of course, we want it to be a single avatar focused. We want it to be single vertical focused. If you have a landing page that says, we are the best site, we are the best product for copywriters and designers and developers and yoga studios and X and Y and Z, that might be okay for your top page because it shows you're doing a lot, but you want your vertical pages to be very specific. You want to talk to a specific avatar because that's going to A, increase your rankings in SEO, and then B, make whoever's landing on that page understand that you're talking to them instead of generic. And this is our agency page. And so you can see it's all about agency program, best tool for agencies, show your clients exactly how many leads you're bringing them with agency specific features. So we're constantly talking about that agency. We're talking about a pain point that agencies have, which is showing clients value. And so all of the phrasing and everything on this page is built around that. So that's number one, is that we want to have these pages to be single avatar focused. The second is what I call the stair-step method. And I'm realizing now that I really should have had a slide here showing what I meant, but let me just pull open SegMetrics. Oh, and I'm just going to show you real quick what I mean on this. So I'm going to switch over to this tab. Oh, that worked much easier. So when I talk about the stair-step method, what I'm talking about is that as someone reads a page, they are going to very quickly fall out of being interested in reading your page. And at each step, at each section, you want to give the clearest value you can. And then if they fall through that, then you want to go to the next step. So let's start here. Get clarity on your true lead value at every step. This is what you get. Here is the initial. Here's a demo and a CTA. All right. The hope is that this is convincing enough to get someone to start that trial or watch the demo here. If it's not, we go on to the next step. So obviously this was not enough to convince them. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by looking at, we're going to show some social proof. All right. We're going to say, hey, here's some other companies that are using SegMetrics. These are some people who have gotten success out. We'll show testimonials. And then we're going to go for pitch number 2, right? Finally, optimize your revenue for each touch point in your marketing funnel. And we can show a graph that goes through here, show bullet points, and then end with, we should actually have a call to action here. I'm going to talk with my marketing team about that. But then you want to have the second step and say, like, this is my second sales pitch. That first one didn't get you. The second one, this is another great feature that you get from SegMetrics. Click the button. Okay, they don't do that. All right, we go down to the next one. Here's a great feature that we have. And we just take this as a stair-stepping model of, did they convert from step 1? No. Take them to step 2. Put in some extra testimonials. So put in some extra things. Why did they not connect with that first step? And then we take them to the next step. And this way, and what you can do here is on all these call to actions, you can add in tracking on each of these to know which one is actually going to convert them through. And this is a great way to kind of have a solution for everyone who comes to your page and be able to go through each of those and make sure that you're not missing customers. I call that the stair-step method. All right. Second one. I love eye tracking technology. I am a big proponent of marketing as applied psychology. The idea that what we are doing as marketers is really trying to hone in on why people are interested in our product, why people convert. And eye tracking is something that is interesting to me because it is so involuntary on the readers or the user's part, right? It's not clicking, it's not buying, it's not something they're thinking about. Their unconscious mind is going through and looking at a page. And we can see here that really people look at the headlines. They do not like reading. People don't like reading, is really what it comes down to. But they will read if you have gotten their interest. And you can see here on the left one, we of course identify with people's faces, go to the headline, and then if we're interested enough, then we finally go to the body copy. And same thing on the right hand side. You can see it's a little bit blurry, but you can see that the things that are read, the things that people are looking at are the headlines, are the things that stand out. And then if they are interested from there, they'll read further. All right. And this is why the stair-step method works in content blocks as well. And this is what we try to do in all of our content blocks as part of the page, which is give them that headline, give them the value proposition right there, very big. They're not going to read the rest of the text unless that headline grabs them. And so we want to make that as strong as possible. Then we have the main catch, or not the catch copy, but the copy that we want to convince them with, the CTA. And then if they're still not clear on it, we give a little bit on top of what we're actually talking about. And so what we have seen with our tracking, with our eye tracking and our mouse tracking software, is that they look at headline first. Then if they're interested, they'll go to here, and then they come back up to here, which is really interesting, which also gives us a second run through that whole thing as they're looking at it. So I love that kind of stuff. All right. Next one is call to actions. Again, people are busy. Don't make them think. And you want to have a single call to action on a page. You don't want, maybe have a sub, maybe one sub, but you really want one thing for them to do. You don't want to have 800 things for someone to do on one of these landing pages because people are busy. They don't want to think. And as soon as you are making them think, you have introduced doubt into the conversation. And should I do A or should I do B? Should I check out the pricing or should I check out the demo, or should I get on a sales call? Should I start the free trial? Should I do, if I have all these call to actions, all these options, I start getting analysis paralysis and I don't know where to go next. And so the valuable thing, the thing that we want to really do there is to whittle down to one call to action. This is the thing that you should be doing on this page. And this is the, and make that the best option for that vertical that we see. All right. So this one is super, super interesting for me. This one's overcoming objections. We all have objections. And we solve this in different ways. We have Patrick Almond right there. Eduardo says, how about multiple CTA buttons with only one goal? Yes, exactly. And that goes back to the stair-stepping method, which is each section should have a call to action that is really the same thing, that is the same option. But for example, right here, learn more about your customer's journey. I then don't want to have or watch a video on it or talk to someone or have a coffee, right? Like I want to have one thing that focuses people towards a single goal, but yes, multiple buttons for any screen scroll. You don't want to have 30 buttons on the same part of the screen, but you want to have it as they scroll down multiple sections with a button. All right. So, for example, we have Patrick Ullman here, who I highly respect, and I saw his testimonial on the page, and I'm like, well, if Patrick's in, I'm in. And this works out a lot. When we look at new software, we always look at who else is using it. Are people in our industry using them? Are people we respect using them? Do they integrate with people that we respect and people we use? This one was an interesting one. So we have Dorit over here. So my friend, different Patrick, but Patrick ran a bingo card creator software way back in the day. And he was just loved doing split tests. And he was doing split tests on testimonials. And because it's bingo card creator and his target audience is mainly 40 to 60-year-old school teachers, predominantly women. I think it was 85% women. He was testing out different testimonials on the homepage. He had one whose name was probably Dan or some obviously male name that had a glowing testimonial. It was like, this is a great piece of software. It does X, it does Y, it does Z. Everything is perfect about it. It is the best thing that has ever graced this green earth. All right. And then we had Dorit and says, I enjoy the bingo cards for the classroom and for events. I think it is fabulous, spelled wrong, and have used it for years. Which one do you think converted the most? It was Dorit. Because remember, everyone coming to the site was a woman, generally aged 40 to 60, who was a school mom. And they identified with the more female name, even though the testimonial itself was objectively worse, right? But they saw someone in them that they saw in themselves. And same when I look at the digital market here, I know Joanna at Copy Hackers. I love her. Ember Tribe, AdLeaks, founder, Dr. X. I know these people. I trust these people. Same with Patrick Almond. I know him. I trust him. It doesn't matter what he says here. It matters that I know who he is and that he has a great experience with Ontraport. And that's why I trust Ontraport, because I trust him and I see myself in him, right? And that, to me, and to obviously a lot of people, because that's how the conversions work out, that's the goal of these testimonials, is to find testimonials that resonate with your audience, not that they're just good testimonials. You can have the best testimonials in the world, but if they, another story on that, when we were running the agency, I had all of the companies that we had worked with, and I had worked with some very large enterprise companies, NTT and Toyota and all these companies. And I actually had a number of potential clients come up to me and say, I really want to work with you, but I think we're too small. I'm like, what do you mean? You're doing millions of dollars a year. They're like, yeah, but we're not like Toyota big. And that was interesting to me, because I had put it there to kind of show, yeah, I can do anything. Like I worked with Toyota. I can really like scale to this. I can help you scale to what Toyota's doing and bring in all that. But what people saw was that I was not for them. And it goes back to that vertical. Who are you targeting? Because I was not targeting Toyotas. While I enjoyed my time working with them, I did not want to do enterprise level consulting. I wanted to work with small business owners, with marketers, with info products and coaches. But they saw that and they thought, this person does not fit what I am looking for. Right? And so it's very important when we're talking about these verticals and these landing pages and everything to make sure that everything lines up. And when you're able to quickly develop these vertical pages and get all this information into one page, you're able to do that more easily because you are able to not just send everyone to a top level page that is supposed to fit everyone. You're able to really drill down into what works. All right. One more, and then we're going to go into CRO, and I will try to go through that as quickly as possible because I do want to leave time for questions and answers. All right. So this is one of the other things that I think is just super, super good, which is this dynamic content. Essentially what it is it uses the information that you have about someone in Ontraport to then modify the page in real time to fit them. So if you know that someone is a copywriter because they're on your site and you have them tagged as a copywriter in Ontraport, it can change the sales page. It can change the opt-in page. It can change all the pages to be copywriter focused. And again, going back to that psychology and having custom pages and really talking to your audience, this is the kind of stuff that just drives me absolutely excited. It just makes me so excited being able to really focus down into the psychology of this kind of stuff. All right. So I want to talk about nurturing customer verticals. I'm sorry, I am going to skip comments on that or questions on that section just because I do want to get through this. And what we really want to do when we're talking about this is we want to nurture our verticals separately. And we don't want to throw all of our traffic onto a single top page. We don't want to throw all of our now wonderfully segmented verticals into a single nurture sequence, right? And just like we discussed before, not all customers are created equal. Everyone has different ways that they look at nurture sequences, different ways that they look at content, they experience content, and we want to make sure that we're creating the best customer happy path. So let's go through a quick example. So let's say we have two verticals. We have our designers and we have our copywriters, all right? And let's say we have a very well-performing nurture sequence where people opt in and they convert at 50%. So 50% of new leads become a customer. That is great. You can scale that to the moon and back. That's probably the best news I'd have all day. But if we then look at how that breaks down between our designers and copywriters, we see that our copywriters are converting at 100% and our designers are converting at 0%. So even though we have a 50% conversion rate, we have one audience or one vertical who is not converting at all, is completely worthless. And that's horrible. And why is that? Maybe we are not talking to that audience correctly. Maybe we're talking about copy throughout the entire nurture sequence. We're obviously not creating a conversation for the designers that convinces them of the value. And we can really do this on anything. We can do this on vertical. We can do it on where the users come from, if they came in from Google versus Facebook or from organic or TikTok or whatever. We can even do it on what products they buy. Designers are, copywriters are more willing to buy product A. Designers are more willing to buy product B, right? And when we're looking at this, there's really two things that we want to look at, all right? So one is the segments, the verticals, the who they are, right? Those unique customer segments, those unique user segments. And then we want to look at the unique touch points on that user journey, all right? And so I'm going to make this very specific. This is what we did specifically for us optimizing our customer journey for our audience. So this is our segment. So our industries are e-com, info products and coaching, SaaS, agencies, sales. All right. And then we have a number of acquisition channels like Facebook, Google Ads, organic search, referrals, affiliates, etc. All right. And these are the main segments that we look at with our customers. And then we have essentially a 4-step acquisition journey. All right. So these are the main touch points that we look at when people are on their path to becoming customers. So the first one is start a trial. It's to set up the data, get on a Kickstart call so that we can help them understand the software, and then become a customer. All right. So the goal that we're looking to do is to find the best combination of touch points and segments. All right. So we're going to go through this actual journey, and I'm going to show you how we use this process to identify the drop-offs and let us essentially 12x our business because we were able to understand who is doing what on this funnel. All right. So the first thing we want to do is we want to find the holes in our funnel. All right. And we start doing that just kind of like what we showed before, where we're going to start with a baseline metric and work backwards. So we see that our trial to customer conversion rate is 54%. All right. So of the people who start a trial, 54% of them become customers. Awesome. That is great. All right. So then step 2, we're now going to break it out into multiple steps. So of these 4 steps, what is the conversion rate of each one? So trial to setup, 90%. Cool. Setup to customer, 45%. Still about that half, right? Trial to kickstart, 13%. Kickstart to customer, 94%. Okay, so we can start to see something really interesting here. The first thing we can see is that our trial to kickstart is really low. It's 13%. But our kickstart to customer is 94%, which means anyone who gets on a call with us for that kickstart to really learn how to use the software turns into a customer at 94%. All right. But getting someone on that trial, that 13%, is really hard. Kickstarts convert, but no one gets on them. So we've identified the hole. All right. So as we're trying to optimize this, first step, find the hole. We found the hole. Kickstart to trial. Why? All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take those verticals, we're going to take those segments, and we're going to break them down, and we're going to see. We know that the problem is that trial to kickstart. So what is the conversion rate from trial to kickstart for each of our industries? So info product, SaaS, e-com, agency. Well, look at that. E-com gets on at a 5%, agencies at 73%. So what did we learn from this? We have a great conversion rate to customer. People who get on the kickstart convert at a really high rate. We should get more people on the kickstart. 94% conversion rate is great. That could make a huge difference for our business. But people who don't get on a kickstart don't convert nearly as well. That's the remainder of that 50%. And only 13% of users get on that kickstart. And so e-com users are by far the least likely to get on the kickstart and convert. And so we need to find a better offer for them or a better way for them to self-serve and get value out of that so that they can stick around. All right. So this really gives us a view into identifying a hole. We thought things were great. 54% conversion rate. Cool. We thought that was great. But when we started to look at the breakdown, we noticed that there was a hole in our funnel. And when we started to look at the verticals and the different areas, then we started to realize that we were losing, that our different customer segments were not performing the same way. And we could identify why they weren't performing the same way. And then when we understand why they're not performing, we can start to come up with ideas on how to help them. All right. It was a quick bonus. As I kind of mentioned, we can do this with everything. We can do this with industry, but we can also break it down with who is the best people on those Kickstart calls to, depending on the industry. So we see that e-com and Mike and Kevin are both equally good at e-com, but Kevin doesn't do as well with info products as Mike does. And that's because Mike has a lot more experience in info products. He understands, again, the pain points that the info product customers have, And so when they get on a call with Mike, they understand that we understand their pain point a lot better than when they get on with Kevin. So these are all the things that, and I do apologize, we are at time, so I will go into questions and answers if anyone wants to stick on. But this is kind of the important thing about why we look at verticals. We look at verticals because it is the way that we optimize our conversion. It is the way that we bring in customers. It is the way that we not only grow traffic through SEO, but we make people understand that we know their pain point, and we are then able to talk to them in a way that they've already self-identified as. And so we know their pain point, and we can convert them easier into customers. Whew, that was a lot of talking. I am, as I said, I talk fast, a lot of information. I will be sending this out as a recording, but I would love to open this up. If people have any questions, I am happy to answer. If not, then that is wonderful as well.
That was awesome. Thank you so much for that, Keith. Really, really loved all the examples you had up there. It's very, very interesting stuff, and really a lot of stuff that we're kind of learning right now with our own verticalization strategy.
It took us probably 6 years before we even realized that we had these different verticals. I mean, we knew that they were kind of there, but what we didn't realize is how different they were. And when we latched onto that, e-com customers are completely different than info product, like, because they have short nurture sequences. They're used to ad converts to customer. It's a very different conversation. So
cool. Awesome. Well, yeah, I guess that's it. Doesn't look like there's any questions. Again, thank you everybody for coming. Keith, thank you again so much for presenting.
Thank you.
And yeah, we'll see y'all next time.
Thanks so much, everyone. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.